she caught her husband having an affair with her boss. And her boss was actually her husband's high school girlfriend. But she caught them in an affair one crazy night. He was drunk, running through the street, running to this girl's apartment.
Hello everybody, it's me, the Cookie Monster. Today, I am going to be reading some more of your insane family stories. So a few weeks ago, I read some of your guys' stories, and a lot of you really enjoyed it and were able to relate. Which, if you were able to relate to any of the stories that I read, I'm sorry. You're not alone. Okay, we here for you, okay? So today, I have two stories for you. The first one is an insane father-in-law story, and the second one is an overall crazy family story, which I have a bunch of voice memos I'm gonna play, and I haven't even heard the entire story yet, so I'm excited to hear it for the first time with you guys. Let's just jump right into these stories. But first, some of you are probably wondering, some of you probably don't care, but this is a face mask. This wasn't really a planned Halloween costume. My skin's just been acting up more than my mother-in-law these days, okay? So I just need to work on it. So the first story is actually about my husband's father-in-law, my dad. I'm just going to read off of the notes on my phone, so this way my brain isn't going in like 100 different directions. Why I Cut Off My Dad by Monica Herman. My dad is an alcoholic. He always was and probably always will be. The thing is, he's a functioning alcoholic. Well, he was because he's retired now, so now he's just an alcoholic. A functioning alcoholic is someone that is able to hold a job. He wouldn't drink while he worked, but as soon as his shift was over, he would immediately start drinking. Like literally on the way home from work, while he was driving, he would start drinking. Insane. So he had a company van owned by his job, and one time on his way home from work, he actually got into a car accident that was his fault, and he got arrested for a DUI. And fun fact, this was his third DUI. He did all of that and managed not to get fired, which just makes me question the company a little bit. So basically, I have more bad memories than I have good with my dad. I used to get anxious towards the end of school days because I know I would have to go home and deal with him. He was always drunk, like literally always drunk, unless he was at work. So this made me look like a liar if I'd ever complain about him or tell people that he's a drunk, right? No one else sees it but me and my mom because we live with them. Honestly, he was a selfish, demeaning, pathetic excuse for a father. He used to tell me I dressed like a whore when I would literally just wear shorts and a t-shirt. I live in Florida, by the way, so that's basically what I wear year round. He also told me one day I would end up alone and he would be all that I had left. You know, I better respect him and do as he says, not as he does, right? Oh, and you know, speaking of my out of control skin, because I still struggle with acne as an adult, as a child, he used to like shame me for having acne. He used to literally tell me I should be ashamed of myself and I should take care of my skin more, I should wash my face more, eat better. And this is middle school through high school and on, you know what I mean? Like as soon as I started getting acne, it was just constant.
Oh, why is your skin so ugly?
And I'm just like, oh my God, maybe I get it from you, you know? Like, oh, and sometimes he would call me a or he would call me the C word, basically every word in the book, just for funsies, you know? All of this disrespect started from the day that I can remember up until September 15th, 2019, just a few months before I got married. So on this day, I just had enough of his shit and I snapped. And I told him I was gonna walk myself down the aisle at my wedding. He was more than welcome to come because, you know, for some reason I still wanted him there. He was my dad, even though he was an asshole. I didn't feel right letting him walk me down the aisle. Like, he did not deserve that, okay? And I wanted to walk myself. I'm my own dad. So once I told him I was walking myself, he completely freaked out and called me some more of his favorite words and basically just stopped talking to me. So I guess he really cut me off, but that's not the point. Either way, it worked out because I have literally never been so happy or stress-free without him in my life. Like, you know what I mean? This year, 2020, with all the shit that's gone on, has been one of my better years because he wasn't in it.
What?
Hello. Oh, say hello. Show them your nails. Oh, they're so beautiful. Wow. She's like, why am I here?
Cupcake didn't even get to go to the wedding.
I know. Oh, she's so mad at me. I'm sorry. I asked if dogs could go and they said no. She's pissed. So for those of you that are wondering where my mom was during all this time, she basically just lived in her room. Right, so my dad was really mean to her as well. He was meaner to me because I didn't know how to defend myself, but she just ignored him and just kept to herself. And to be honest, we both kind of just kept to ourselves during that time, like up until I was around 18. My mom and I didn't really have the best relationship. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. Now we're great, you know, like we've been to therapy, we worked out our shit. We good now, okay? I'm an only child, by the way, so it was kind of rough dealing with that by myself. That's basically the story of why I cut off my dad. Like leading up to that point, he would just constantly call me and harass me because obviously I live on my own now. I live with my husband. So I wasn't in his home for him to harass me and disrespect me. So sometimes he would just show up, he would call me and just curse me out. I would always get so nauseous if I would see his name on my phone, like if he was calling me or texting me. It would turn my stomach to see him. So I just couldn't take it anymore. And that's it. I cut him off. Just because it's your parent or it's a family member, if they treat you like they're not your real family, you don't need to put up with it. So that's gonna be it for my dad's story for this one. So, oh my God, I sometimes when I get nervous, I get gassy. I'm sorry. Let's get on to our second and final story for this video. So for this story, I have a bunch of voice memos from someone that DM'd me on Instagram, and I have not listened to them yet. I do know a summary of what they're about, so we're gonna listen to this story together. I'm just as excited and anxious as you guys about this. Also, just for privacy reasons, I will not be showing or telling who sent me these stories. And again, if you ever want to send me your stories on Instagram, I never share your information unless you want me to, and that's completely fine. Listen, I get it.
Hey Monica, I saw your story on YouTube about your mother-in-law and felt like I just had to share my story with my in-laws. Well, a funny twist to my story is that my sister and I are actually dating brothers. And an even weirder part is that my uncle married his aunt, so we kind of knew each other growing up.
That's sweet.
Well, a few years ago, probably like 4 years ago, my sister and the brother of my current boyfriend got married. Well, while they were in the engaged session of their life, my sister had found text messages between her fiance at the time and father-in-law, the father-in-law saying that he needs to break up with my sister because she has too much weight on her body, and that having a woman with too much meat is not good for his image. This family, you're going to see, is a lot about their image, and that a lot of people's opinions really affect them. And so my sister confronted her fiance and they talked it out. Well, then I think a month later, they broke it off. And then, so my sister was devastated. My boyfriend and I were fighting because, of course, I'm sticking up for my sister. Like, I saw the text messages too. And he, was just sticking with his blood. My boyfriend was sticking with his blood brother. And then, like, a month later, they got back together. The wedding was back on. It was weird, but my sister loves him, so they worked it out. The father-in-law never apologized, never said anything, never brought it up, even though he knows that we both know, because my sister's fiance had told him, like, hey, my fiance found our text messages. But anyways, they got married, and same conversation came up of how my sister was gaining the wife weight, even though that she was trying to have a baby, but she is having trouble, so she was getting injected and taking all this medication just to have a baby for her husband.
Right.
And there goes the text messages again between her husband and his dad, saying, son, like, you need to find a thinner woman. Like, this is not what you want in your life. You're gonna end up just like her parents, whose mother is overweight, and end up just like her dad, who's a lousy man living in a lousy life, pretty much is what he said. So my sister brought up the text messages again. She told me another big old fight happened. Weeks go by. My father-in-law knew, didn't say nothing about it, didn't bring it up to us, just swept it under the rug like he does with everything. Mind you, he watches what his family eats a lot. If his daughter has a piece of candy, he'll slap her and say, no, you're on a diet, remember? You're on a diet. And just like in crazy, my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law, they go on these fastings like every other week, and I'm telling you, they're as skinny as a pole. You could practically see their bones through their skin, and it's all because they have a controlling father. So let me get into this control. Every time my boyfriend wants to come down, he is constantly bombarded. Let me just say that my boyfriend and I are doing a long distance relationship. It's only about an hour and a half, but we're doing long distance. And so every time that he comes down, he's constantly bombarded with phone calls and messages from his dad. What are you doing? Where are you? Even though he knows where he is, he's just like, well, what are you doing? I need you to come home. So my boyfriend will stay here for maybe a couple of hours and then have to stay home, like head back home. And he's 21. He's 21 and I'm 22. And his dad still has control over him of where he is, where he's going, even though he's a full-ass grown adult. Although he does not have his own place right now, I will say that, college students, we're still trying to make something of ourselves. And his dad is just constantly in his business. So let me fast forward to some of the juicy stuff, because we've been battling this for 3 years now, for me and my boyfriend, and my sister has been battling it for 6 years. So, it's a constant fight, though we never confront each other because we're always trying to be respectful. But then my sister, a year and a half into her marriage, she caught her husband having an affair with her boss. And her boss was actually her husband's high school girlfriend, their little sweetheart, whatever. And Danielle, my sister, sorry, I just said her name, actually made a big sacrifice by working there underneath her. But her husband is a state trooper and he has to do his job and he can't get moved. So she said, you know what, because I love you, I'm going to be the bigger person. So she worked underneath his high school sweetheart. But she caught them in an affair one crazy night. He was drunk, running through the street, running to this girl's apartment. And my sister found text messages. She tore her house apart, breaking almost all of his stuff. And headed back home. Well, my father-in-law and mother-in-law had received text messages from my sister. My sister had sent them screenshots of the images that she had found, and that he was getting hotel rooms with this woman and planning trips. And when my sister would be out of town, we're taking care of our sick grandmother who is battling pancreatic cancer, he would say, hey, my wife's out for the town, you want to meet up? The most disgusting words, images, and just everything about this was just so crazy, that she had sent it to them, and yet the mother and father were pretty much defending their son, saying that my sister pushed them to do it, and it was her fault that he did this, and that she was pushing him away. blaming my sister even though their son had the affair. It's a long, crazy story, but I am happy to share with you over the phone or in video chat, whatever. And I can get more in depth because it's just a crazy story, and I feel like I can't tell you everything without jumping around.
That's basically the first part of the story, and then I have some more voice memos to play for you. We talked for a little bit, and here is the rest of the story.
So the same night that my sister found out about the affair, it just so happened that her dog was giving birth to puppies. Now, like I had mentioned, my sister was trying for a whole year to get pregnant. She was taking medication, she was getting injections just to have a kid with her husband. And so that dog having babies, she kind of took them in as her own. Does that make sense? And she was caring and took that as a sign from God that it's not her time yet, and that her dog having babies was her little gift. And so my sister really valued that. So anyways, when she found out about the affair, she completely left everything and she just drove over to my hometown and stayed with me for the night. The following day, we traveled back to her hometown and I brought a trailer. We picked up literally everything from her house. And the dog was at her in-laws' house. So I said, if you want, I can drive you over there and you can go say goodbye to the puppies. And she's like, yeah, I want to go say goodbye. So we went over there to the house, and we've known our in-laws for years, and we were dating their sons for 6+ years. So we never knocked on the door. We were always just walked in because that was our second home. So we went through the back door, which is where the dogs were, and we were petting them, loving on them, and immediately my brother-in-law, or our brother-in-law, came in and kicked us out. He had said that his dad said that we were no longer welcome there. So we got up, we were respectful, and we just drove back home to my house. Well, on the road, I got a phone call from my uncle, which is my mom's brother, and he had said that his sister-in-law, which is our in-law, our mother-in-law, had said that if he could tell us we are no longer welcome at their house, that we were disrespectful for coming into their home, and we were not welcome to come over or anything like that. And so immediately I said thank you for the phone call, whatever, and I called my mother-in-law. And I said, hey, you had called our uncle, but that's none of their business. Like, why can't you just, if you had a problem, you couldn't even come tell us yourself? Why did you have to get a third party involved in all this mess? We were just saying goodbye to the dogs. We didn't make a scene or anything like that. And she goes, well, you didn't knock on our door, and this is not your home. How dare you come into my home unannounced? And I said, were we not family? Or are we not family? Because I'm still dating your son, and I have never knocked on your door. I have never knocked on your door in 6+ years. And she gave the phone to her husband, which is my father-in-law. And I mean, he dug into me, saying the most... He was telling me the most ugliest things. He was talking to me as if I was a child, saying, how dare I come into his home? And they were pretty much just going in a circle around that. So, adding to the drama, this time last year, both mine and my boyfriend's grandmother were diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And his grandmother wasn't really doing the best. Her time was pretty much coming to an end at this time of the whole affair. And On the phone call, my father-in-law had told me that I was not welcome to the funeral to not show up. Mind you, like I've said, I've known this family my entire life, and I was really close to their grandmother. So during all this drama of their son being the one who was having an affair while their grandmother was sick, while our grandmother was sick, we were the ones getting the short end of the stick, pretty much getting beat on, saying that, it was my sister's fault, that she was pushing him, and that, kind of putting it on me that I can't attend the funeral. It was just a big mess, and it's clear now that that family runs very thick in blood, and they're always going to protect each other instead of seeing what's the right thing. It tore a wedge between me and my boyfriend. He would call me and pretty much start up fights because they would get into his head, and they were pretty much pushing him to break up with me because it was just too much to handle if they were to ever see my face again. And we had a big long fight, but my boyfriend ended up getting us a little vacation home, the best one he could find during COVID, and we could talk things out. And so we're still together to this day, and my sister and their brother-in-law are currently trying to work things out. They were trying to get a divorce, but they talked things out, and so they're trying to work it out right now. At first, my brother and sisters-in-law, which is my boyfriend's siblings, they were not allowed to talk to me or message me or reach out to me. Even though they're grown adults, they're 25. They still had to listen to mom and dad. And so they didn't for a while until one night we were camping, and finally we just kind of broke the ice with them. So I'm okay with my brother and sisters-in-law, but I have yet to talk to my mother and father-in-laws.
Wow. That's the end of her story. Wow. So to the person that sent me that story, I know we've been talking on Instagram. I am so sorry you and your sister had to deal with everything that you guys did have to deal with. I'm sorry about your grandparents as well. I am happy that you and your boyfriend, made it through. And I truly hope for the best for your sister and her husband, and you and your boyfriend as well. Thank you again for reaching out to me and sharing your story. And by the way, she was completely fine with me listening to the second half of it on camera with you guys. I asked her first. I absolutely love when you guys send me voice memos, because it's one thing to read your story and everything, but to hear it come from your words and hear your emotions behind it, it's just very touching. And I'm sure a lot of people will be able to relate or find some comfort in hearing another person going through this type of situation. You're not alone, and other people might be experiencing the same thing, and you might make some new friends in the comments out of all of these stories, So that's gonna be it for this video. I need to go wash this face mask off because it's getting crusty. And this is officially a series now. So if you have a story that you would like for me to share, feel free to DM me on Instagram. Again, I always make sure you guys are 100% okay with me sharing your stories. And if you do want me to share, just, you could put in your message hey, I want you to share this, or you could just send it to me if you want to chat. Also, if you have DM me on Instagram, I am sorry it takes me a little bit to get back to you. I just like to read all your messages when I have complete free time, so I am giving you 100% of my attention. If you like this video, please give it a like so I know. If you like stories like this, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these future storytime videos. Also, let me know if you can relate to any of these stories in the comments below, or if you have something you want to share, feel free to comment. We have a really good little family here, okay? And we build each other up in this community. Okay, so make some friends in the comment section. Make someone's day. Say hi. Also, just a little side note, on Halloween, I will be doing a live stream here on YouTube at 8 p.m. EST. So we're just gonna tell some spooky stories and play some games and just hang out a little bit. So if you want some spooks with the side of goofs, come watch the live stream or just say hi. So if you made it this far, I love you guys, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, or live on Halloween. Okay, bye!